Hey everyone, welcome to Redmen TV. So Enzo Fernandez rumours are running rampant on social media at the moment. I've got Neil Jones on Journo Insight this week to talk through the latest raft of Enzo Fernandez rumours and a little bit about the endless speculation around Jude Bellingham. Enjoy.
Absolutely.
3 Enzo Fernandez stories, all conflicting in one way or another. I've changed the order of these, so I'm going to go in chronological order from which these made their way into the public sphere. The Anfield talk on the 19th of December via River Instante. We've got 102,000 followers, but they aren't verified.
A River Plate, aggregator.
Yeah, which makes sense for the final sense of this. Liverpool will offer $97 million, which sounds very Dr. Evil, but for Enzo Fernandez, and loan him back to Benfica until June. If it materialises, River Plate will receive almost $25 million. So that's number one. Moving it slightly further forward, on the 21st of December, LFC Transfer Room were reporting via Luis Coelho. It was apparently a scout and cronista. Go ahead. And Ebola Narede, which is again another output place, says there was an agreement in place for the transfer of Enzo Fernandez to Liverpool to be closed at €97 million, £85 million, with the player set to move to Anfield at the end of the season. Then Dave O.C. Kopp is reporting via Record that Benfica have reportedly rejected a whopping €100 million offer for World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez. And there were then somewhere else, which I haven't got the link, but saying that it actually wasn't Liverpool that had that bid rejected. It was someone else, but Liverpool are kind of still in the mixer for this one.
I suppose the obvious way to start is just look at all that sort of. I think there's a lot of guesswork going on in a lot of places at the moment, and you might say I'm involved in that a little bit, but I think it's clear. There's a couple of things clear. One is that Enzo Fernandez is going to move to a top club.
Yep. At
some point, probably next summer, maybe not. 2 is that Liverpool quite like him. Obviously,
yeah.
I think there was reports that Liverpool were sort of half investigating signing him in the summer when he'd only just gone to Benfica. But I don't think there's any. I mean, without giving too much away, I asked someone at Liverpool via WhatsApp about this transfer, and the reply I got was a crying, laughing emoji, which it was about the one about buying now and loaning back to the summer, and it was a crying, laughing emoji, and a sort of a wow, like seriously, Liverpool are going to do that at this moment. So I don't think anything's been agreed for Enzo Fernandez. I don't think anything's particularly close to being agreed. These stories are just going to emerge in all different places. You just look at the fees. I mean, there's 3 fees on the agenda there. They're completely different. Well, maybe they're not actually, but $97 million, €85 million. It's gone up already in terms of. From 60, I think the other week it was 45. I think maybe even before that. So again, a lot of people sort of seeing his World Cup performances and thinking, yeah, this is the time to sort of cash in. Maybe with the player and the agency, but also I think with transfer stories around the player.
There's also, it's that time of year, isn't it? And
it's obvious what Liverpool needs. So it's you couldn't say Liverpool, like you could say with that right back Sacha Boey. Well, Liverpool obviously don't need a right back, so that's an easy one to sort of really roll your eyes at and say that's just not happening, is it? With this, every story is believable, isn't it? With Liverpool and Enzo Fernandez, because the need is so great for a midfielder, or so obvious for a midfielder or two, that you could push the luck with anything really and say, yeah, I can get my head around that idea that Liverpool would buy someone in January and loan them back, but I don't think that is the case at this moment in time.
I thought there was a really interesting take on this whole thing, and which everyone's going to have to be wary of. It was from Phil Blunden, who's a regular Anfield Rap contributor, but he was commenting on something the Anfield Talk had put out, which was a quote from DiMarzio saying Liverpool are ready to submit a monster offer for Enzo Fernandez, and basically how it's a throwaway line in a paragraph of a story about how he nearly ended up in Italy. It's now got over 1,000 likes in the 10 minutes, and then it's just And that's what we're getting at the moment now is throwaway tidbits being converted into full-blown articles picked up by multiple outlets and then being reported on as fact.
I think I've seen James Pearce call it out a few times where he's had problems where maybe it's in a Q&A or something like that, and it's just like, Liverpool might like Jared Bowen, or and that grows arms and legs and becomes and I've seen. Listen, let's not single this out as a Liverpool centric problem, or an Anfield talk, or Portuguese media or Italian media or anyone. I think it's a problem with the transfer news cycle. You mentioned one before. You just said via Tuta Mercato, and that if you follow the trail, you end up back where you've started almost. You end up back at a Daily Mail rumour mill. And it's almost like, I actually don't know where this rumour started from. It just seems like it's just gone into the rumour ether. Yeah. And now it's just getting recycled into... And I think another thing as well is there's a history of... It's more believable if it's got a certain type of name. If it comes from a Calcio Mercato, it's like, okay, yeah, like, about Ismail Benacer, you think, okay, well, they might have a thing. And a lot of outlets, and I mean, listen, I have my own issues with Goal and with some of the sort of headlines they put on rumour mill pieces or rumour mill blogs. It can feel a lot more sort of concrete than it actually is, and a lot of it is just if Benfica, I think there was one about Emre Can, wasn't there? That Benfica were going to sign Emre Can in January. I think has been heavily dismissed. I
haven't seen the dismissal, but it didn't make it onto the agenda. But it was Emre Can's moving to Benfica. Well, that means they're preparing.
Yeah, and it becomes that. I think there was one. I remember it a while back. I think it was Mahmoud Dahoud, and it was like this is the plans being put in place, and it's just sort of moving the conversation on. It's like, that could be the case, and I think obviously there's an appetite for it, and it's as big as anything. And look, we're doing a show about transfer stories, so we're all part of it. But it is. I mean, I had a little skim down one of the. It wasn't. I don't think it was the Anfield talk, but just one of their feeds. And just the difference in the stories that they're even the sharing, and I get that they're just aggregating it, but the difference between one tweet to the next is almost like, well, that can't be true. If that's true, that obviously isn't true, because so there's so much being reported that it's very hard to keep a track on it. So I don't think Liverpool have agreed anything for Enzo Fernandez at this stage. I don't know if they will agree something for Enzo Fernandez. I think he's a good player and he's good enough to play for Liverpool, and I think there's a chance Liverpool do sign him at some point. But I don't think these stories yet are coming to fruition, because I don't think Liverpool have made that move or are close to.
What we're also seeing, it was something I tried to prepare the audience for, and I showed a couple of weeks ago, is the Jude Bellingham stuff as an example of this, is in the absence of news, what you're going to find is it's a bit like very familiar to when the league was postponed because of COVID, and every week it would be, it's coming back, it's going to be fine. Then because no one knew, then it would be another thought piece on why it needs to be cancelled, then it'd be another thought on why it needs to be voided, and blah blah blah. And you're seeing this now with Bellingham. So now the stories have all swung back to Liverpool feel that they're now in second place. Real Madrid have made a big push towards it, and blah blah blah. And in reality, there's probably very little, if anything, has actually happened.
I won't name him, but you'll know who he is. I think he is a regular watcher of the show. But I have a lot of back and forth conversations with him, and I did say to him, he uses a phrase all the time, "Nothing's happening with," and you're like, "What do you mean? No, you're like, the expectation is you expect that if there's a story in the morning that like there's a development by 11 o'clock and then there's one by 1, and some people like to make out that that's the case, and there are famous people who sort of seem to provide updates on the hour, and that. But the reality is that if you haven't heard anything about Roberto Firmino's contract in a week, doesn't mean nothing's happening. It just means that he hasn't signed it or it hasn't been finalised. So I think there is, at this time of year, there's a desire for sort of literally constant updates. So, and there are a lot of people who are willing to provide them,
and there does come a time,
outlets and obviously News Now and aggregators and those kind of things, and I think that does create this feeling that my mood your mood's up and down by the hour, because you're thinking, we're gonna get Bellingham, we're not gonna get Bellingham, he's going there, we're not gonna do this, he's injured, and it sort of creates this sort of build up of like almost transfer window sort of stress, which actually, if it was just a case of back in the day where it was the club call and the papers, you'd look at that in the morning and go, I might sign this fella from Leeds, okay, fine, yeah. And then the next day you wouldn't even think about, but because you're sort of
Harry Kewell, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I was Lebo, I was thinking but I think the point is sort of, you have to fill your day. If you're on social media all the time, you have to fill your day with something, and what better way for a lot of people to fill it than with transfer rumours.
And to be fair, as I was going to say, there is a time in the window where there are almost hourly developments.
Yeah.
It's deadline day.
And
that is also hyped up massively by Sky, because they've got an entire day. That's their biggest viewership day of the year.
Yeah.
And it happens in very isolated cases. And it does happen. There are panic days. I remember being someone who used to work at Rotherham, and she was talking about having to run across the road to put a fax through and all this kind of stuff, because she's the only person at the club who knew how the fax machine operated and all those.
Still baffles me, the fax thing.
Yeah. So there are some genuine, obviously, tiles where phone calls happen in the morning and then they get completed in time for the deal. But in reality, you're right, is that conversations will be had, and then you'll sit and wait because no more can happen. If it might be that point, if someone like Bellingham, they might have a verbal agreement with with him and his family. They might be like, Liverpool are going to be our choices, but it might be also, go and get in top four and we'll have a chat in the summer.
And there might be some players who, the sort of the way that you win them over is by being persistent and being on their case. There are other players you might be harsh with. Be harsh with them, leave me alone for a couple of months. I'm not saying Bellingham or Fernandes or any of these players are, but there are these ideas that sort of there are summits every day of players, that Liverpool are jetting out to meet someone, or they're going here. From my sort of knowledge of it, it's far more likely that there's the odd WhatsApp sort of conversation going on, or while there's a negotiation about a certain player's contract, they'll be like, while I'm here, what's the situation? That keeps abreast of it. I don't think it's ever sort of as obvious as Liverpool sitting there just ringing up Borussia Dortmund every sort of half hour going of any news, or what are Real Madrid saying, or I think it's a far more sort of informal, I would say, is the sort of way it is.
Okay, there you go. If you want to check out that full show, go to redmenplus.com for this week's show, last week's show, every week's show. Neil Jones, Journo Insight, giving you the inside track on what's happening in the press room at Anfield and beyond. Loads more transfer stories that we covered in there as well. The future of Naby Keita being linked with a move to AC Milan and more. Yes, head to redmenplus.com and sign up. If you join as a club legend yearly, you'll also get sent 2 discount codes immediately in your inbox to get 2 free pieces of Redmen merch as well. Perfect deal this perfect festive period.
Hey, what's happening, everyone? Hope you enjoyed that show. If you did, please do give the video a like and subscribe to the channel as well. If you want even more Liverpool content, even in video or podcast form, do check out Redmen Plus, our subscription service. Tons and tons of great Liverpool content, both in video and podcast forms. Check it out. You will love it.